All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here talking real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. All right, so yesterday was a big day in Journeyland as we found out that the settlement finally was passed. The legislation was passed. The settlement was passed, which means that these guys reached an out of court settlement and Ross Valory and Steve Smith got what they wanted, or at least enough to say, hey, we wish these guys well, good luck in the future. So is this retirement for Ross Valory? Is this retirement for Steve Smith? Probably for Ross Valory, I'm thinking. I mean, he may surprise me, but he's 72, same age as Steve Perry. It would be interesting if Ross Valory went over to Steve Perry's house and hung out and had a beer. And the only rhythm section, by the way, that I can think of that's been fired from the same band twice. Kind of weird to think about it, but they have. They've been fired twice. The second time was kind of a self-inflicted wound. The first time was Steve Perry. So I'm wondering if, Ross and Steve could show up at Steve's house and say, hey, want to put a band together? That was a rumor, by the way, for a little while. It was a rumor that there are all these ex-Journey people floating around. Greg Raleigh was out there, but really busy with Ringo Starr. But you still need a guitar player. My pick has always been Josh Ramos because he's kind of a Neil Sean protege, but there are other people out there, I'm sure, who could handle the Journey catalog and play all these songs and have Perry on vocals. I just can't imagine Steve Perry wanting to get into that situation again. He's doing his own music, his own way, and he's comfortable with the voice that he currently has to kind of tailor his new material around his 72-year-old vocals. And he doesn't want the drama. He doesn't want the everyday turmoil. And my guess is that Ross Valory and Steve Smith don't want it either. That's one of the reasons they decided to try to get the golden parachute to open. And I think Ross Valory, he seems to me like he probably just wants to chill. Steve Smith, on the other hand, I think Steve Smith will still do stuff, probably more in the jazz world than anywhere else, because that's his passion. I heard from a pretty good source, so I'm going to say that he wasn't all that enthusiastic about being in Journey again. And Neil Sean has confirmed that in a couple of interviews. So even if you think I'm just speculating or my source is wrong, the thing is, Neil Sean has said, hey, I want guys that want to work, who are excited about the gig. And he's got guys who are excited about the gig. He's got Randy Jackson, who lights up a room when he goes in there. And Narada Michael Walden is going to be a funky rhythm section for sure. A diverse rhythm section that can do a lot of different things. And I'm not trying to, put down the other guys, because they were part of two of the band's most successful albums, Escape and Frontiers, together playing on those two records. They came back later for Trial by Fire, but really those two albums, that lineup, the Escape lineup, as we'll call it, much like the Fleetwood Mac Rumors lineup, most fans will say that was the best lineup the band ever had. Doesn't necessarily mean you had the best players who were ever in this group. Journey has had tremendous musicianship from great players. Ross Valory being one of only two bass players that have been in the group, right? So you got to look at him and then Randy Jackson, and that's it. Whereas the group has had a couple of drummers other than Steve Smith, including Ainsley Dunbar, who was a beast. Different style altogether. Different style. Smith is more straight up timekeeper. Ainsley is a lead drummer kind of guy. Dean Castronovo can do both, which I think is really cool. So they've had some really good musicians in the group, and we'll see what happens with Smith and Valory. My guess is they're just going to kind of walk off into the sunset at this stage in their lives, unless somebody tries to recruit them and put them in a band that is trying to be like Journey, like The Storm, if you remember The Storm, something like that. But there's no appetite here in the United States, really, for melodic rock. So even if they did that with, the name ID and so forth, it would still be a hard sell. It would have to be a real super group, and you'd have to have some big support from your management. But in any event, I think it's good that this is done and wrapped up, and now Journey can focus on their new album coming out and hopefully a tour. Everything continues to be pushed out instead of, scheduled, because nobody knows anything. That's all I'm going to say. Nobody knows anything about what's been happening around us for the last year. It's just, to me, it's sort of ad hoc the way this whole thing has happened and continues to happen. But when people are out there in the news saying a doomsday is coming, or this is a doomsday scenario, I don't think that's going to instill a lot of confidence in the people that hang on every word that these so-called experts utter. It's just ridiculous. And I'm hoping that we can return to real concerts and normalcy at some point this year. We shall see, though. All right, my video is done. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. And for Patreon, it's just $1 a month. You want to become a patron over there. If you want to give $2 a month, that's up to you. But I appreciate all the patrons. We're in a brand new month, and all of you folks who continue to hang with me here. The channel has had some ups and downs this year, and I'm hoping that things continue to go in the right direction. All right, see you soon.